Hey guys, I'm Becky from Book Bite Reviews, and welcome to my last video in front of my tree, my December wrap-up. December was actually a really good reading month for me. I read a lot of books, a lot of 5-star books, so let's just go ahead and dive right in, starting with DNFs and moving our way up. There is only one DNF on this list, and I feel like you guys might freak out, some of you will at least, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Now, I did not DNF this book because it's bad or not well written or anything like that. It's honestly just for the sole fact that it's an adult fantasy. I just couldn't get into it. I think 100 pages or so that I read, I was just very bored, and I would have rather spent my time reading other books than to devote a lot of time to reading this big boy. So I decided to go ahead and DNF it. I don't think I'm ever going to revisit it. I just don't think it's for me, and that's fine. If you loved it, I'm totally cool with that. I mean, you don't need my approval, but I'm not saying don't read it, I'm just saying it's not for me. Next is the sole 3-star book, and that was The Regular Show Volume 1 by Kasie Green and Allison Strejlau. The only reason that I picked up this comic is for the Magical Readathon, and it was alright. It wasn't a bad book, it just wasn't a great one either. It's only like 22 pages long, and the way that it ends does not solve anything that happens in the comic. I'm pretty sure that this is a pretty normal thing for comics. I normally read more graphic novels than I do comics, but I went ahead and picked this one up. I thought it would be fun and funny because I do love the show, and it was fun and funny, but it just didn't solve anything within Volume 1. So I felt a little let down a bit, I guess. Next up for the 4 stars, I have 2, and they are both in the adult content area. So the first one I honestly wasn't going to mention on here at all, because it is such adult content, but I decided to go ahead and include it in my wrap-up. I didn't talk about it in any of my vlogs or anything like that, but I decided, why not throw it in here? And that is Super Fun Sexy Times by Meredith McClaren. This is an adult graphic novel, Please do not think that this is intended in any way for anyone under the age of 18. I'm not someone who believes in censorship, so if you are under the age of 18 and you want to check this out, go crazy, but just know what you're getting into, because this is a graphic novel. So in this book, I believe we have, I think 4 or 5 different couples that are in some sort of sexual relationship and some sort of sexual predicament. Some of them being what they're into and what they're not into while having sex. Some things are more what their sexual preferences are. Different things like that. And basically what the whole moral of this book is, even though it's very graphic, you see a lot of things in this graphic novel. The moral of the story is consent and accepting your partner for who they are. So even though it is a little bit shocking, because I've never read any graphic novel that shows this many body parts this often, this close up, it was a little shocking. I really enjoyed the message behind it. I thought that it was a really good and healthy thing to read, and to understand your partner better, to know that there are things that they may or may not like, there are things that they may be hiding from you because they think you're going to judge them, and I just really enjoyed the whole moral of the story. I think that it is well needed, and I think that it's just a very healthy representation of sex and love. The other book that received 4 stars is The Book Witch by Desy Smith. Now this book I did receive for review, but I also bought a copy before I knew that I did get accepted to review it, which is fine. I love supporting authors. Just like with the first book, this is the second book in the series. It just didn't have enough in it to push it over to the 5-star range. I really love them, but there just isn't that oomph that pushes it into the next level for me. They are short stories, which I think may play a little bit of a factor, because I think if it was a full-length novel, it probably would have got 5 stars for me, because you would have that longer period of time to really dive into the story. However, I do think that these short stories are really well written. I think that it is amazing that in 50 pages in the first one and 80 pages in the second one, we are able to really know who these characters are and fall in love with them and want to know more about them and want them to fall in love. I just really enjoy that. I would highly recommend that you guys check out this series. Before we get into our 5 stars, I do want to just drop a book right in here because I did a special vlog and review for this book. So I'm not going to tell you what rating I gave it. I'm not going to tell you anything about it other than the fact that I read it, and that is Throw Like a Girl by Sarah Henning. Take what you will from this book being in between the 4 and 5. Make your guesses on what rating you think this book is going to get, but to find out all of my thoughts and my rating on this book, you will have to check out my special vlog and review video that will be posted this second weekend of January. I did just want to throw it in here just as a special plug to check out that video, but also I did read it in December, and I really want to talk about it, but we can't yet, so keep an eye out for that video. And now moving on to the meat of this video, the 5 stars. There were a lot. So first up, we will talk about 4 at the same time, and that is because they're all in the same series, and that is books 6 through 9 in the House of Night series by PC and Kristin cast. So as you might have recalled in the last wrap-up video, the last book that I read was book 5, and I'm pretty positive that that was the book that received the lowest rating from me in the series, which was a 3-star. Didn't really love it. If it was book 4 and not book 5, then I apologize, but either way, there was one last month that wasn't the best, and it kind of made me a little worried about where the series was going. However, all 4 of these books did not disappoint, and they all got 5 stars. They were really, really well done, and now my excitement for the series has been restored. I'm very excited to see how the series is going to end. I feel like by book 9, I'm getting a little bit over the same bad guy that has been there since book 1. I'm really hoping that we get rid of that and that we maybe have to face something else in the next 3 books. Overall, I think that they are really, really well written. The only thing is that the first half of the book is always very like Scooby-Doo running around, something bad has happened, and then the last half is where all the action happens. It is a little bit of a struggle sometimes to get through the first half just because it is a bit boring, but the characters are interesting enough where I can get through that first half. It just kind of stinks that the action isn't peppered within. It's only in the second half of the books. I am very excited to check out the spin-off series once I finish these to see how much their writing has changed. Next is The Tea Dragon Festival by Katie O'Neill. This is actually the prequel to the Tea Dragon Society, and I absolutely loved it. So this book does take place before the last book, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Everything is so, so cute. I will say that the focus on this one isn't so much the tea dragons as it was in the last one. We get to know more of the characters and kind of like things that happen in the world around them, more so than the actual tea dragons themselves. But we do still have some tea dragons in there, and they're very, very cute. And we have a romance that I just really, really enjoyed. I really think that these books are just very, very healthy. They are very inclusive, and the illustrations in them are just beautiful. And of course, those little cute tea dragons just make it all worthwhile. Next is a graphic novel that I've been very excited to finally read, and that is Mooncakes by Wendy Xu. I am so happy that I finally picked up this graphic novel. I've been wanting to pick it up since October. We are now in December, but that's okay. This graphic novel was done so well. I really, really enjoyed the art style. I loved all of the color illustrations. It was just very, very well done. I really, really enjoyed the plot line, and I do love that we have a subplot of romance that is with a trans character. However, I loved that that wasn't a big deal. Like, it wasn't like, oh my god, that person is trans and I'm falling in love with them. Like, it was very, like, no big deal, but I just really loved that their relationship kind of, like, blossomed when they were younger, and then now they're teens, and now things are finally starting to happen. And I loved our main plot point of this evil cult kind of stealing and taking over werewolves. Like, I just loved it. I love a paranormal read. I think that this was really, really, really well done. I'm really hoping that there are more. It seems by the ending that there are going to be more. I'm just very excited because I really, really enjoyed it. Next is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. You guys, I loved this book so freaking much. It was so cute. I absolutely loved it. In this book, we have our main character who has been dumped on the first day of Christmas break, and her family decides to cheer her up by setting her up on 10 blind dates, 1 date for every day during the holiday break. Now, of course, with your family member choosing people for you, especially like your grandpa, who knows nobody who is your age, you get into some certain hijinks. And I just absolutely loved this book so much. I think it was so well done. I really, really enjoyed that the chapters were dated so that you absolutely could have read this book on the days that it occurs, which I feel like probably would have enhanced the experience. I didn't do it for the first time. I just went ahead and read it all the way through in like a 24-hour period. But I think if I ever decide to reread this book, that I will definitely do it by the dates that are listed, because I just feel like it would be a lot more fun. I just absolutely loved how funny this book is. There were times where I was laughing out loud, getting weird looks by my husband while reading this book, and I just thought it was the best. I think it's such a great Christmas book without being overly Christmas. The focus point is these dates and her learning who she is, making relationships with her family members, and that it just happened to take place during Christmas time. So we do have those kind of festive activities that are happening during Christmas, but it's not Christmas in your face. And I just loved it. I think it was perfect to read during the week of Christmas, which is what I did. I highly recommend this book so much. Next was Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. You guys, this book is so good. This is the last and final book in the Folk of the Air series by Holly Black. First book being The Cruel Prince, and I just loved it so much. I think that this is my favorite book in the series. I finally ship Jude and Carden. Everyone shipped them in book 1. I didn't get it. I thought the relationship was super unhealthy, and I was just not a fan. In book 2, I started to kind of get it, and then that crazy cliffhanger ending got me. And then now here we are for the final book, and I think it was just outstanding. I loved the twist that it took in like the last second of the book. I loved our ending. I think it ended so perfectly, and I couldn't have asked for more. I honestly had no idea what to ask for in this book. I had no idea where Holly was going to take it, and I'm just very happy with the outcome that she took. Next is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I don't even know where to begin with this book. This was one of the books that was on my 19 and 6 that I needed to read this month. I honestly thought that this was going to be in the DNF pile. I was not very excited to read this book. I figured that I should just not even start it, but I decided to go ahead and try it, and worst case scenario, we'll DNF it after like 100 pages. But it totally shocked me and was one of the best books that I have read. I'm so happy with myself for giving it a shot instead of just writing it off from the get-go, because I loved this. I love this so freaking much. It gave me Wicked Saint vibes, which I still have no idea what it is about these books that I love so much, because both of them have been books where with Wicked Saints, I had very high expectations for no good reason, because it was unlike any book I've ever read, but I just figured I was going to love it. And I did. With this one, I didn't think I was going to like it. I thought that it was going to be a bit too dense or just not interesting, but that's what made it so freaking good. I loved the politics in this book. If you guys know what ties this and Wicked Saints together, let me know and give me more recommendations, because I love this. I think whatever these books are, whatever subgenre these books fit under besides YA fantasy, that is my new subgenre, because I just devoured it and loved it. And I read it very slowly because this book does have a lot of things happening. We have 2 characters that we are jumping back between points of view who are also occurring 1,000 years apart. So it is a lot of information to digest. I did read this a lot slower than I normally do, and I physically read it, and I just loved it and devoured it. And I need to know what it is that categorizes this book so I can know to look under that category for my next awesome read. Yeah. 5 out of 5 stars. Easy. And the last book that I read in December that got 5 out of 5 stars, my favorite book of the month, is Split Second by Kasie West. I have waited so long to read this book. It came out, I think, in maybe 2017, I think. I've owned it since then. And what's funny is that this is part of a duology. The first book, Pivot Point, I devoured, loved it. I read it again because I forced my book club to read it. They devoured it. They loved it. And I still never read the second book until this month. I don't know why I waited so long, because I knew it was going to be good. I think maybe it was just the unknowing of how it was going to end, because I loved the first one so much that I was worried that this one would maybe dampen that love, but it only made it grow stronger. I love the way that the series ends. I love Kasie West's writing. I am definitely going to be checking out her YA contemporary romance, because I never have. I own 2 of them, but I have not read them. But I'm making it a point in 2020 to read more Kasie West, because this is the only YA paranormal sci-fi that she has, and it's outstanding. So for it being a genre that she's not known for and it being this good, I can only imagine what the books that she is well known for and what she writes the most of are going to be. So I will definitely be checking out her contemporary romance very, very soon. Alright guys, those are all 15 books that I read this month. Please let me know in the comments if you have read any of them and what you thought. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, to please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it and you want to see more bookish content from me, please hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified as soon as my videos go live here on YouTube, hit the notification bell. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!